Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bruce Wagner Show. Today we have a most amazing guest. She is an author, a best-selling author, speaker, lecturer, entrepreneur. What else? So many things. She's even produced games, all sorts of things. So her name is Sharon Lechter. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you. Delighted to be with you, Bruce.
Yes. So I have been a fan of yours since the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki and you wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the original, right? And you've been involved in many other books and projects since then. So how many books have you published so far?
17 adult books. Before Rich Dad, I had actually started and built a company, the talking book industry for kids, the books with the sound strips down the side. Yeah, I started
Before
that company.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Yes, yeah, that was back in the late 80s. The inventor of the talking book and I were friends, and I joined his company and helped him grow that to the international powerhouse. It was a time when bookstores were very quiet places with little old ladies behind. So I said I had the first disruptive technology.
Yes.
We disrupted bookstores. So.
Boy, now bookstores are disappearing.
Yeah.
It's like it's becoming e-books and things.
It's kind of sad, you know.
Well, they're talking more. I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah.
They're interactive and multimedia, and they're on iPads.
Yes.
The whole world's changing. They're closing Barnes & Noble at Columbus Circle. They're like, it's already closed, actually. It's kind of a sad thing to see. The record stores, gone. The bookstores are next. Who knows what's... I think movie theaters are going to become some other kind of virtual reality centers and stuff. But so you've always had an affinity for education and especially kids' education.
Absolutely, and part of it is because my own children and my grandchildren now. I've had the blessing to be able to combine my passion as a parent with my profession in publishing. So with talking books, and then we moved to Arizona back in '91, and in '92 my oldest son went off to college. And he got into credit card debt, and I was pretty upset at him, but also at myself, because I thought I had taught him about money. Right. So it was in '92 when I really dedicated my professional career to financial education and financial literacy for young people, for families, and really focusing on entrepreneurship and helping people get their companies on the right path.
Okay, and you've written so many different books in the Rich Dad Poor Dad series, and then even after that, how many books after that?
Well, we did 10, I've done 15 books in the Rich Dad series.
Oh, okay.
So we started with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which actually was written as a brochure for the board game. You may not know that. The
book was written as a brochure?
Yeah, we never expected
longer and longer and longer.
Yes, we never expected it to take off and become a
franchise.
Yes.
It's a huge thing, right?
And we thought our brand was going to be Cash Flow because of the game, and our company name was Cash Flow Technologies.
Yeah.
But the world told us, no, your brand is Rich Dad.
Yeah.
And so we started, and literally 15 books later, and I left the organization in 2007, and that's when the Napoleon Hill Foundation reached out to me and said, we need your help, because with the downturn in the market at the end of 2007, they said the words of Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich were really instrumental in helping us get out of the Great Depression so many years ago.
Right.
Many successful companies today were started during the Great Depression. And so they said, we really need to get this more front and center. And that's when they came to me and asked me to step into a project called 3 Feet from Gold, which we released in 2009.
And this is 3 Feet from Gold.
Yeah, that's the first one. And it really takes the principles of Think and Grow Rich, of perseverance and staying the course. And we talked to 35 of today's top leaders about not just their success stories, but about how they got through the difficult times. You know, we've all been in those valleys, and they persevered and were able to keep going those last few steps to turn potential failure into great success.
Because you were telling me earlier in the green room that the title. Tell us where the title comes from.
Yes, 3 Feet from Gold actually comes from a story in the first chapter of Think and Grow Rich, and it's about a young man named R.U. Darby who went out west with his uncle to discover gold, and they were all excited. They got their mine, they bought their equipment, they dug, and they got some top quality gold. So excited, they went and they got more money, more equipment, kept digging. All of a sudden, they ran out. And they kept digging more dirt, no gold. And so they got frustrated, threw their hands up and went back east, sold their mine and the equipment to the town junk man. Now the junk man had been living there 20 years waiting for his opportunity, studying gold. He knew all the right people, he knew the gold engineers. He goes out to the mine And the engineer says, really quite simple. R.U. Darby and his uncle just went right through the vein of gold. You go back to where they start and go back 3
The other
feet.
way.
Go 3 feet from that, and you'll discover it. And so the junk man discovered the largest discovery of gold of his age, of that time. R.U. Darby was back east, and was he upset? Yes, yes. But he also said, I will never allow this to happen to me again. He went on to build a huge insurance company, and he started teaching the principle of perseverance and never giving up.
Wow.
And that element is so important today with our economy. Yeah. So many of us have seen the ups and downs, and that roller coaster continues today.
Yeah.
And so that was the essence of working with the foundation, to bring these words back out to the forefront today, because there are many people that are under 40, 45 that had never heard of Napoleon Hill.
Right. Yeah, and it's timeless ideas. The perseverance, and there's lessons in that for everybody. The Darby who went back and didn't have the perseverance, and also for the town junk man, because he just waited perseverantly for the right time,
for the opportunity.
Boom, the opportunity presented itself, and it worked.
And he had the right team. He had the right mastermind.
Yeah.
You know, so many of us, we've been taught through school that we have to do everything on our own. You have to work alone.
Yes.
And entrepreneurs become very lonely.
Right.
And if you want to be successful, you need to expand your horizon, have a mastermind, have advisors who can help speed your way to success.
Absolutely.
And have the right team around you. This person may be strong where you're weak, and that's what you want for success.
Nobody makes it alone. Everything is a team sport, right? Absolutely, you have to have your experts. And really, one of the most important things is to know what you don't know, right?
That's
to know
right.
what you're, because everybody has their area of brilliance, but very few people have more than one.
And most people feel like they can't ask for help because it's a sign of weakness, and they're afraid of criticism, which brings me to the latest book, because as we're about to release 3 Feet from Gold, the foundation called me and said, Sharon, we've just discovered a manuscript that Napoleon Hill wrote the year after publishing Think and Grow Rich. He intended it to be the sequel, and it was hidden away for 73 years.
That's your new one, Outwitting the Devil, right? And this is a transcript that was written as the sequel by Napoleon Hill to Think and Grow Rich, and it was buried away by his family?
Yes, his wife was working for the Methodist Church at the time, and the title, Outwitting the Devil, in the book itself, the last half of it is an interrogation of the devil. And Napoleon Hill says, you can decide, you the reader, can decide if you think means. I was talking to the real devil or an imaginary devil.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you get value from what the content says. But his wife was terrified. And in fact, in the book, when you read it, there's a section, of course, this was typed on a manual typewriter during the time of Hitler and Mussolini, but in this Q&A with the devil, he says, Mr. Devil, aren't you afraid I'm going to give away all your secrets and you're going to lose control of all these souls? And the devil says, and he wrote this in 1938, no, I'm not worried at all, because you're going to be too afraid to publish a manuscript. It's pretty wild when you say, in essence, that's exactly what happened. It was put away in a closet and it didn't come out. But there was no accident here, because what's happened today, so many people are crippled in fear. And the essence of the book is that the devil uses fear. Fear paralyzes us. It makes us sit on the sideline. And so instead of having fear paralyze us, we need to allow it to motivate us. And it talks about the fear of poverty, which of course is very prevalent today, but also the fear of criticism. And what's happened today, so many people are afraid to look bad, to look silly, afraid to ask for help.
Right.
And yet Napoleon Hill himself said the mastermind principle comes from Napoleon Hill. Yeah. And so you need to ask for help. Find those advisors that can help speed you on your way. Find those people that you add to your team that have strengths where your weaknesses are.
Right.
And that's truly the pathway to success. Business is a team sport.
Absolutely. And I've heard it said, people have said that there are only two real emotions, and that's love and fear, and they're sort of opposites or mutually exclusive. You can't be having both at the same time in the same matter anyway. So it's interesting. So yeah, you can take it literally, or you can take it figuratively, or that the devil is the fear, that we have, however you want to perceive it. But I noticed that you have testimonials here from Harvey Mackay, who wrote Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive, and Steve Forbes, from editor-in-chief of Forbes magazine, of course, and Michael Beckwith, who is an amazing, he was in The Secret and is an amazing spiritual leader. So you've got, it sounds like you've got fans from all different sectors, right? Business, self-help, finance, and spiritual community as well.
And it's so important because today we're all being battled by fear from every direction, whether it be financial or spiritual or terrorism. The fear is pervasive.
Right.
And what this book does, it gives you 7 steps to try and get rid of the fear in your life and ways to outwit the devil. And it's such an cohesive picture of how you can turn your life around, because so many of us, we allow ourselves to be insulated, and when we're fearful, we kind of close down. And this gives you that opportunity to give you that hand up, to get you out of that fearful situation, and things that you can do to really set a goal for yourself and achieve and get past the fear in your life.
Great. It's so exciting. I haven't read it, but I can't wait to read it. So this seems like a good time. We need to take a break really quick to thank our sponsors. Obviously, we wouldn't be here without our sponsors. We are most grateful to Mt. Gox. Mt. Gox, and this is something that I was explaining to you earlier, Sharon, about Bitcoin, which is a whole interesting phenomenon. It's electronic digital currency. It's kind of, they're calling it the money of the future. They're calling it the most exciting technology since the invention of the internet itself. Well, there's a company called Mt. Gox, mtgox.com, which happens to be the #1 online exchange site. So it's a really convenient place and way to buy Bitcoin or sell Bitcoin online without leaving the comfort of your own home. So if you own a diner in Brooklyn and you accept Bitcoin, you need to convert that into dollars for your produce order for the week. You will need to use an online exchange like Mt. Gox to convert your Bitcoins to US dollars, for example. If somebody wants to invest in Bitcoin, they would be doing the opposite. They'll be buying Bitcoin for dollars. So this is kind of like almost like a matching dating service. It's a market online. It's automated 24/7. And actually, Mt. Gox is the 90% market share, at least. So they are sort of the standard. So when we talk about the value of a Bitcoin, we just look at the Mt. Gox last price. So Mt. Gox is a sponsor and phenomenal company. And we thank them very, very much for sponsoring our show. So check out Mt. Gox, mtgox.com, and you set up an account. It's free and brilliant service. And The Thank You Economy, which is a book by Gary Vaynerchuk, and it is a book actually about what we're talking about. It's about businesses, large and small, actually, using social media. He talks about he's a best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author as well. This is his new book, and he talks about how to use social media in this new age of the internet effectively. Because I always say the vast 99% of people doing social media marketing are doing it wrong. Basically, it's just spam and it's annoying to people. But he talks about how to really bring an old-fashioned feeling of direct customer service and hand-holding to your customer. Even if you're a huge corporation, you can actually engage customers one by one and give them personalized customer service using these tools of social media. And that's what it's about. Like he calls it Thank You Economy, which is really about thanking the customer for being a customer. So it's thankyoueconomybook.com. So check that out. We Thank You Economy and Gary Vaynerchuk. Okay, so I have a question now. The 3 feet from gold, which is Think and Grow Rich. Now, is it actually Think and Grow Rich reprinted, or is it commentary about Think and Grow Rich?
It's actually a whole new book, and it's a parable in itself, where the Think and Grow Rich is the brand name of a new series of books. So, for instance, I'm going to do a Think and Grow Rich for women by women, talking about women and their thought processes and how they follow the principles of Think and Grow Rich. I'm also going to be doing a Think and Grow Rich for children. So that's actually the brand name of a new series of books. And 3 Feet from Gold is actually a unique written novel, basically, that we did talking to many of today's thought leaders, and we set it in a parable format, so that you follow a young man through who has gotten in from the entitlement age, and he's kind of he likes to spend money that he doesn't have, and he goes through this journey of having a mentor that helps him get back on the right track, and the mentor introduces him to some of his friends, much like what Hill did when Andrew Carnegie introduced him to all the rich men of his time back in the early 1900s. And that's really where the power of Think and Grow Rich comes from, because it wasn't one man's philosophy. It's not Napoleon Hill's philosophy. He interviewed hundreds and thousands of people that were successful and thousands of people that considered themselves failures. And so it was a life study. He studied for over 20 years.
He's really a researcher.
Yes, and so Think and Grow Rich is actually a synthesis of success of all of these people. That's why it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Just
Timeless.
as Outwitting the Devil is the same synthesis of what held people back, because that's the power. Both of these books were written as a result of his lifetime of study.
Okay, and the 3 Feet from Gold, so it's an original novel.
Right.
It's based on the principles of Think and Grow Rich,
Right.
but it's a completely new original novel.
Right, and what we did was we took the principles of perseverance and never giving up, and we went out and talked to many of today's leaders.
Okay.
We talked to the the creator of Velcro, FedEx, Chick-fil-A restaurants. So you might not recognize the names of the people we talked to, but you would recognize their brands in the world today.
Sure.
About how they are still utilizing these principles in today's market.
Wow.
So we wanted to show the relevance of the information to what's happening in the world today.
How did you find those people? Like, did you already know that they were using these principles, or did they contact you, or how did that work?
In a myriad of ways.
Yeah.
We looked to those folks that communicate with the foundation, who have created success, and say, I love Napoleon Hill.
Oh, they're already.
So, there was
So you
already
knew that they were.
There was already a relationship.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure the people we highlighted really exhibited the elements that we want people to see as a result of Think and Grow Rich. And so some of them we actually reached out to say, did you have influence from Think and Grow Rich?
Right.
Various different ways.
But Outwitting the Devil is actually the original transcript. What do you call it?
The manuscript was the original
by Napoleon
sequel
Hill.
to Think and Grow Rich.
And then you annotated it.
Yes. What I did was I didn't change the manuscript. I did do some precision editing, because he can sometimes be a little wordy. But it's his actual writing, and then I add sections, and it's in a different font.
So
you can ignore my comments if you choose. If you're a purist, you can just read his manuscript and ignore my comments. Or as you go through the book, you can read. And what I did was I would compare what was happening in 1938 when he wrote it to what's happening today, because there are so many similarities.
Yeah.
We had high unemployment back then, high unemployment today. We were at war back then, or certainly at war today. And the economy, of course, was in the toilet then, and the economy is certainly there today. So there's so many parallels.
Right.
And the thought process of moving from an entitlement mentality to an empowerment mentality was a very big issue for him. He also talked about the need to not have dictatorial education, but to have experiential education instead of pounding facts into our kids through memorization. Now, this was 1938.
I was going to say, so ahead of his time. It could be 2038.
So relevant today.
Yeah.
He also, at the time, talked about the bad side of cigarettes. Now, this was at a time before we knew cigarettes were bad for you. 1938. We were still giving them away free to our troops.
Everybody smoked.
And he talked about, the devil says that he uses cigarettes to derail young people at a young age, to get them addicted to nicotine so that they would drift. And that was one of the big concepts in the book that I love. He talks about drifters versus non-drifters. And a drifter is someone who's easily swayed. They go with the flow. They don't have a mind of their own. They don't have an ultimate goal.
Like sheep, we kind of think of them as sheep that just
Exactly.
They can easily be manipulated by marketing and
Right. And the
trends.
devil loves them because he can mess their lives up. And then he compares the non-drifter. And the non-drifter is somebody who knows where they want to go. They have their goal. And yes, we have setbacks along the way. But when you know where you want to go, you can recalibrate your path.
Right.
And so he says, a non-drifter, he says, a man who uses his own mind escapes my web. And so that's part of it. And we think about different times in our life when maybe we were kind of going with the flow.
Oh, yeah.
All of us.
Last Tuesday. No.
Yes, exactly. And there's one section in the book about procrastination, and it's like, darn, busted, because he said, procrastination is drifting. And I said, yeah, but that's my excuse. I said, I always work better under pressure. But yes,
I always say that too.
Yeah.
It's just an excuse.
Laziness plus indifference equals procrastination. I guess if the shoe fits,
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all guilty. And the term the devil, I can see where that's kind of a loaded term, but it doesn't matter whether you, personally, I don't believe in the devil, but you can still look at it even metaphysically, it's still the same. Because if you, metaphysically, I would think of the devil as being your ego, your,
that
fear, your
that
own
inner
fear.
voice.
Exactly. Even so, however you look at it, whether you look at it literally or metaphysically or whatever, it's still equally applicable.
Well, when I tell people, I say, we've all seen the cartoons with the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other.
Yeah.
So I said, the next time somebody's in your face and giving you a hard time, just smile and go like this, because you'll know. You get rid of it's negativity. And we have so much negativity around us. And one of the ways to outwit the devil or outwit the negativity in your life is paying attention to your environment.
Right.
If you think about going to a funeral, you're down, you feel how depressed the room is versus going to a party where they're dancing. And it's so important because so many of us, the cocktail conversation is about bad health or about the economy or somebody losing their house or losing their job. And it's like, I came out for this.
Exactly.
Versus what's positive.
That's so important. People don't pay enough attention to that. The people that you hang around, the energy that people are giving off, you have to be really aware of that. And it's going to either bring you down or bring you up. And it influences your thoughts for the next 24 hours, 48 hours, or whatever of what you do. And it's so important to keep that positive energy and stay away from that negative stuff that's just drawing you down. People complaining no matter what it is. I mean, there are obviously there are legitimate complaints and things like that. And there's a time and place. You take it, you process it, you file it away and say, okay, now I'm going to do what I have to do about that and file it in the drawer. You can move on and stay positive, right?
And you turn those negatives into opportunities. You see a way, the most successful businesses do one of two things. They solve a problem or serve a need. And so we've got a lot of problems today and we've got a lot of needs.
There you go.
I mean, last night I was speaking to a group of under 30 CEOs, and one of the most common questions I had was, what happens when your family isn't supportive? And that's more often than not the case.
Yeah.
Because your family knows you so well, and you start doing something different in your life. You start wanting to go out, and instead of going to the corporate job, you want to be an entrepreneur. The first thing that happens is mom and dad goes, oh, no. Your family says, oh, that's crazy. You shouldn't do that. And so you instantly feel pulled back. The analogy of one crab in a box crawls right out. Two crabs in the box, neither one gets out. And so people are naturally resistant to change. Yeah. And you can't change your family, but you have to recognize that that's their attitude. Yeah. And I'm not going to allow myself to be sucked in. And so you limit the time you spend with your family when you're in this build-up mode, and you increase the time that you spend with your friends that are on the same path.
Yes.
And you go to the networking groups and you find that mastermind group that supports you and where you want to go, so that you're adding that positive energy and encouragement. Because once you start seeing some success, all of a sudden your family is going to be...
they'll come right back.
Yeah, they're right back.
You'll have more friends than ever.
Yes,
They'll come out of the woodwork.
Exactly.
It's true. There's a saying, I'll paraphrase, I get it completely wrong, but something about you can't be a prophet in your own village, and that's kind of what it is. The people that are closest to you are the most critical, and one of the things that I always think of it as a curse word. It's like the worst thing someone can say to me is these words: "Be realistic," because what they're really saying, it's a polite way of saying, "Oh, oh, you're not good enough. You're never going to succeed. And it's just, it's that pulling you down.
You're a dreamer.
Yeah.
You know,
like,
that's
oh,
good.
be realistic. You're just little Brucey from the block or whatever. You know, I know you from way back, and you've never been a super success before, so you're not going to be now. You know, that kind of thinking that be realistic.
And it's
Just
their
get a
own
job.
fear that's speaking. It's
Yeah,
their own fear
exactly.
of
Projecting it on
criticism,
you.
their own fear of change, their own fear of failure. They're exactly, they are projecting it on you, and you have a choice
Nope.
of receiving it
Exactly.
or rejecting it.
Talk to the hand, right?
Yes, yes. This.
Yeah. Nope, brush it off. Okay, bye-bye. We'll talk later
Yes.
once I'm successful.
That's right.
Exactly, prove them wrong. Some people actually take that energy and fuel this, like, I want to, like, I'll show you. I call it the I'll show you feeling.
Motivation.
Yeah.
And that's what fear can either paralyze you or it can motivate you.
Yeah.
And when we talk about passion, one of the things in 3 Feet from Gold, we came up with a personal success equation, which was common among all the people that we talked to. And that's taking your passion. And when I talk to people about passion, we've all heard, do what you love what you do.
Right.
Well, passion can also come from anger. And so, for instance, my life's work is because I'm angry that we don't teach money in school. We don't teach people about entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So my passion is from anger. And so you combine your passion with your talent. So my talent, I'm a CPA and I have a background in publishing. And so I combine my passion with my talent, but that's not enough. You have to find that right association, and that's the people that you surround yourself with. Or you collaborate with another company that can help speed you to market.
Right.
And so that association is so important. And then, of course, taking the right action. You know, we've all seen the movie The Secret in the book, and it's great. It talks about the law of positive attraction. Well, that actually was originated by Napoleon Hill in 1919. He really originated the law of attraction. But he also said you have to do something. You have to take action.
Right.
You know, we've all been given a great mind and 2 arms and 2 legs. We're supposed to actually do something.
That's right.
As he said, go the extra mile. But then, and we were almost ready to go to print with that formula, power, you know, your passion plus your talent times the right association, taking the right action. And when I said, no, there's still something missing. And the piece was faith. And that's what helps get you through the negativity. Faith in yourself,
Right.
and faith in what you're doing, and the faith that you are going to succeed.
Right.
And that's the common formula that every one of the people that we highlighted in 3 Feet from Gold, and the basic underpinning formula in all of Napoleon Hill's work is the fact that you have the ability to be successful. It doesn't take money to make money.
Right.
It takes the passion and the talent, the right association, taking the right action, and having faith in yourself.
Right. And if you have if there's a spiritual component to it, one of the things that, to me, I think of the easiest way to have that faith, you have to have a couple things. One, you have to feel worthy of success. Because if you feel that you don't deserve the success, then you will never get it no matter what. That's just a deal breaker. You have to feel like you're worthy, that you have to love yourself. Effectively, first of all, you have to love yourself enough to feel that you are worthy of it, right? And then you also, one of the things that I don't know where I got this idea, but I think about is if you feel like what you're doing, it's kind of sort of has a moral or ethical or spiritual aspect to it. If you feel like what you're doing is good, basically it's ordained by a higher power, by God or whatever, that what you're doing is actually good, then I feel like I can't fail. If what I'm doing is actually good, is really helping people. Like our mission statement at Only One TV is to help as many people as possible, and we mean masses of people, billions of people all over the planet, in the most profound ways possible. That's our mission, our corporate mission statement, right? And so I really believe that. And if I really feel that way, then spiritually I feel I can't fail. I can't fail. It's impossible. So if you think that way, that's your faith you're talking about.
Yes, and it's being mission-driven as opposed to profit-driven.
Right.
And that's where so much of it is. When you see successful companies, they can be successful for short term if they're profit-driven.
Right.
But that's called what I call, are you selling or are you serving? And the issue is, if you just sell, it's a transaction.
Right.
I can
Make a quick buck.
convince you to buy my book. That's a transaction.
Right.
but I want to serve you. So that I want a relationship.
Right.
So you, instead of having a transaction with your customers, create a relationship with your customers, and the money will come.
Yeah.
But if your vision and your mission is aligned in service, then you have a long-term success.
Yeah, your money will continue to come if you have a relationship.
Right.
If you make a fast buck, then yeah, you can cheat people. You can just do anything unethical and make you can have a lot of financial success, but very short-lived, right? Wow. So how have you? I know that you have developed lots of products because I remember the cash flow game and then cash flow for kids. We actually, Ed and I actually used to have this thing we started at Unity called prosperity groups that we did this. We created this whole thing, and this was part of our little curriculum in our groups that we did. Was playing. We had a game night where we play cash flow and all that. Now I understand you have some new products also that are targeted for teenagers.
Yes, I'm so excited about this, and because not so much because we won awards, which I'll share with you, but because the teens love them. I left the Rich Dad organization in 2007, and my passion was to create products that really would give young people the chance to become their own boss and become masters of money instead of slaves to money. And it was really almost a download of the stuff that was in my brain. And we started with an entrepreneurial kit, and it's this biz kit. And we just, within the last 2 weeks, learned that we received the 2011 Mom's Gold Choice Award for this product.
Wow.
And so it makes me very happy. But what makes me even happier is when a young person actually uses it and generates and makes a business for themselves. And it's really it's a really fun 4-color product, and it shows the various aspects of building a business. And then at the end of each section, they fill out a little piece of this one little question. They answer the questions. And when they're done going through the process, you pull out those pages and they have their own business plan. And so even adults get a little intimidated when you say...
Oh, me too. I've never written a business plan.
And so I've had
it's intimidating.
adults use this product.
Yeah, I was thinking that actually. I'll pretend I'm a kid.
Yeah, and so it walks you through the process, and it allows them to become powerful, because when a young person knows that they can make their own money, that's the gift of a lifetime.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Instead of thinking you have to get a job and be taken care of by an employer or taken care of by the government, you learn that you can take care of yourself.
Business. Create a job. Yeah, exactly.
And the self-esteem goes up.
Yeah.
And the confidence goes up. That little "you're not worthy" starts going away, because they realize that they can take care of themselves, and that's what's so important. But when I did this product, I also started thinking that young people they like games. Of course, they like the internet. But when I started, I actually created this product, which is called Thrive Time for Teens, and it's a board game. And the sweet spot is ages 10 to 20, because it talks to young people about where they are at that stage of their life, and it's done with humor. And the beauty of it is we teach them that the choices they make will either drive them to success, to thriving, or dive them into debt. We don't talk down to them. It's a lot of fun, a lot of humor in it, but they learn that it's just as important how they spend their time as how they spend their money. And we've kept it very cost affordable. It's $29. So my goal is to make a difference, not to make a profit. And the kids that play it absolutely love it. We won the same Mom Gold's Choice Award on this product a year ago, 2010.
Wow.
But the better award is when the kids play it and they get engaged, they like it, the conversations they have around the table. They go, "Why aren't they teaching me this in school? I need this information. This relates to who I am and what I am," and it talks about getting good grades so you can get a decent college scholarship. So many people today are just heavy burdened with large school loans and school debt. They're getting out of college with $100,000 in school loans and no job.
Yeah.
And that's going to cripple this generation unless we teach them how to be independent, and again, how to be a master of their money instead of a slave to their money.
How does the game handle that? If you're it deals with student loans, right? Is it detrimental in the game if you take student loans?
Every decision you make, you either get a positive Thrive score or a negative Thrive score. And so in here, there are certain elements of the fact that you qualify for a scholarship. Well, that's a positive, okay? And then you may have an opportunity for your parents to help support you through school. That's a positive. And taking a school loan can be a positive if it's for the right reason, and it can be a negative if it's for the wrong reason. And so we deal with that, and we talk about your first car. A car can be a negative. If you go get the hot sports car, it's a negative. If your parents support you and you can get a decrease in your car insurance because you have good grades. There's also cards that say you've done too many text messages, extra $100. Well, I think that's probably happened to a few kids this age. And it talks about one card is your boss realizes you've been giving away free food to your friends for a year. He should fire you, but instead he reduces your pay and makes you clean the toilets. So again, it's humorous. There's and then the kids, they have a great time talking about things that truly have happened in their lives. There's one, my personal favorite is you go to a great party at a friend's house. Their parents are out of town. Cops come, you get a $400 ticket, right? Well, I don't have to say on the card that there was underage drinking. The kids fill all that in around the table. But again, it makes them experience things. I often say we need to allow our teenagers to stub their toe while they're still at home. So they don't break their leg when they go out into the real world.
For sure.
And so by doing this, they have those experiences and they have the opportunity to think about the consequences without actually realizing the consequences.
Right.
And that's the beauty of what Thrive Time for Teens does. It really allows them to start thinking about life choices in a safe environment with play money instead of real money.
It's a game. Yeah, but the lessons they learn, they can easily take to the real world.
Right.
Have you had any interest from schools or educators in using some of these games and books and things? Yeah.
I'm very excited. We are going to be we're starting a plan in Arizona, which we intend to take nationwide, where we're doing a Thrive Time challenge throughout high schools in the state of Arizona, starting in January. And it will culminate in April, which is Financial Literacy Month. So at the end of April, we'll be doing a final competition of kids around the state for Thrive Time. And the winner will get a scholarship. So,
Oh, great.
Yeah, so important, and it's so important for the parents too. This is a great way. What happens is parents are afraid to talk to their kids about money because they're afraid their kids are going to realize that they themselves don't know everything. That's the case. They may have their own financial problems. And so by using the Thrive Time for Teens game, it's a safe tool. It's a buffer.
Parents got to learn too.
It takes the emotion out of it, and so the parent does learn along with the kid. But it's also a safe way to talk to your young person about money, to give them the tools they need without making it so personal.
Right.
I mean, blood and money sometimes is a very difficult thing to mix because the emotional side of both, money's emotional, family's emotional. Put them together, sometimes you have explosions.
Exactly. And so I can imagine it's for parents. It's like helping your kid with their homework, and you have no idea what they're doing. Like immigrant parents trying to help their kid with their homework, and English isn't even their first language or whatever. New math, all those things that parents have experienced. So this is an excellent tool to teach both at the same time and make it a game, make it fun.
Well, part of the problem, and that I talk about this as well, is if you imagine the old science fair project, where you can go in and you can see which projects mom and dad helped with the most, right? And so mom and dad think, aren't we great parents? We helped our child get an A.
Right.
Well, and you think the child is going to say, I have great parents, they helped me. Well, the child may actually be thinking, they don't think I can do it on my own.
Right, exactly. They don't learn self-confidence.
And then next time, the kid's going to say, you know what, let mom and dad do it. And so by helping, you're actually disabling your child.
Right.
I've done it with my own kids. I see it all over the place. And in today's environment, so many of us want to put our kids in bubbles so that they bounce. They don't realize, they don't understand, they never face failure.
Treat them like they're helpless, and then they become helpless. They grow up helpless, right?
Couldn't have said it better. Exactly. That's the issue we have with so many young people today.
I was thinking about giving too much to anybody when they're not going to use it wisely or whatever the case may be. You giving a gift or money or something to people and depending on the circumstance can be, I always thought of it as enabling, but you're right, it's actually a better way to say it is disabling, because it really is. It's disabling them from doing what they really need to do themselves. And really, sometimes you just have to feel the pain or the desire or whatever to change your behavior, your choice, your laziness, or whatever it is.
And a lot of parents say, well, how do I get started? And I say, just, you can start really with a little goal. I talk about little wins. When you know where your big goal is, that's fine, but set little goals and allow your child to achieve a little goal and celebrate, because then all of a sudden the self-esteem goes up.
Yes.
Then they can set another little goal and achieve it. And so it's like, okay, you start, and all of a sudden you wake up and you're really close to your big goal.
You're so wise. I just saw this documentary on TED. I don't know if you've ever heard of TED Talks, TED.com. It's like the only television I watch. It's so cool. I just saw this documentary on TED.com about video games, and that there's a science to these video game development companies that they use, and that's exactly what they talk about. They have a whole structure of this, the idea of little goals and little achievements and all sorts of things that they've been able to actually match up to the evolution of our brain, of how we work and how we grow and how we learn. Really interesting stuff. Maybe you could explore getting some of these products made into video games. That would be cool.
Yes, I would love that. That would be super.
Cool.
Yeah, we're
So
looking.
If you're a video game developer, contact Sharon. SharonLechter.com is your website, right?
Yes, it
you can
is.
see it there. Now, where's the best place that they can pick up these books and these products?
The books are available on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. You can also we have a special website called OutwittingTheDevil.com.
Oh, okay.
And OutwittingTheDevil.com, there's actually a secret chapter that was in the original manuscript that didn't make it into the final book, and it's Napoleon Hill having a conversation with his invisible counselors, his mastermind, and these are great people from history that he brought together, and it's like its own little short story, and so I made that available for free. You can download it. OutwittingTheDevil.com, and you can also order the book through that website. It takes you to Amazon and Barnes and Noble. So.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Sharon. It's been such a pleasure finally to meet you. I'm one of your biggest fans.
It's my honor. Thank you so much, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys tomorrow. Take care. Ciao. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bruce Wagner Show. Today we have a most amazing guest. She is an author, a best-selling author, speaker, lecturer, entrepreneur. What else? So many things. She's even produced games, all sorts of things. So her name is Sharon Lechter. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you. Delighted to be with you, Bruce.
Yes. So I have been a fan of yours since the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki and you wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the original, right? And you've been involved in many other books and projects since then. So, how many books have you published so far?
17 of adult books. Before Rich Dad, I had actually started and built a company, the talking book industry for kids, the books with the sound strips down the side. Yeah, I started
Before
that
Rich
company.
Dad Poor Dad?
Yes, yeah,
I
that
didn't
was
know
back
that.
in the late 80s. The inventor of the talking book and I were friends, and I joined his company and helped him grow that to the international powerhouse. It was a time when bookstores were very quiet places with little old ladies behind. So I said I had the first disruptive technology.
Yes.
We disrupted bookstores. So
Boy, now bookstores are disappearing.
Yeah.
It's like it's becoming e-books and things.
it's kind of sad, you know.
Well,
to
they're
see.
talking more. I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
interactive and multimedia, and they're on.
And really focusing on entrepreneurship and helping people get their companies on the right path. So.
Okay, and you've written so many different books in the Rich Dad Poor Dad series, and then even after that, how many books after that?
Well, we did 10, I've done 15 books in the Rich Dad series.
Oh, okay.
So we started with Rich Dad Poor Dad, which actually was written as a brochure for the board game. You may not know that. We never
The book was written as a brochure.
Yeah, we
It
never
just kept getting
expected
longer
it.
and longer and longer.
Yes, we never expected it to take off and become
A
really,
franchise.
yes.
It's a huge thing, right?
And we thought our brand was going to be cash flow because of the game, and our
Right.
company name was Cash Flow Technologies.
Yeah.
But the world told us, no, your brand is Rich Dad.
Yeah.
And so we started, and literally 15 books later, and I left the organization in 2007, and that's when the Napoleon Hill Foundation reached out to me and said, we need your help, because with the downturn in the market at the end of 2007, they said, the words of Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich were really instrumental
Timeless,
in
yeah.
helping us get out of the Great Depression so many years ago.
Right.
Many successful companies today were started during the Great Depression. And so they said, we really need to get this more front and center. And that's
Yeah.
when they came to me and asked me to step into a project called 3 Feet from Gold, which we released in 2009.
And this is 3 Feet from
Yeah,
Gold.
that's the first one, and it really takes
see
the
that?
principles of Think and Grow Rich, of perseverance and staying the course. And we talked to 35 of today's top leaders about not just their success stories, but about how they got through the difficult times. You know, we've all been in those valleys, and they persevered and were able to keep going. Those last few steps to turn potential failure into great success.
Because you were telling me earlier in the green room that the title iPads,
Yes.
the whole world's changing. They're closing Barnes and Noble at Columbus Circle. They're like, it's already closed actually. It's kind of a sad thing to see. The record stores gone. The bookstores are next. Who knows what's? I think movie theaters are going to become some other kind of virtual reality
Right.
centers and stuff. But so you've always had an affinity for education and especially kids' education.
Absolutely, and part of it is because my own children and my grandchildren now. I've had the blessing to be able to combine my passion as a parent with my profession in publishing. So with talking books, and then we moved to Arizona back in '91, and in '92 my oldest son went off to college, and he got into credit card debt, and I was pretty upset at him, but also at myself, because I thought I had taught him about money. So it was in '92 when I really dedicated my professional career to financial education and financial literacy for young people, for families, and